Hey guys, just a reminder, if you want to hear all of these wonderful B Plus podcast episodes completely ad-free, make sure you head over to Patreon or Podbean, where we are the featured podcast this week. You can subscribe for as little as $1 a month up to $10 a month, where anything you want to help us with, it really helps out. It's going to help us grow the site. It's going to help us redesign some things, and everything that we get through this and through the advertising as well is all going straight back into the podcast so that we can get Aussie Graps out there for the rest of the world to hear about, for the rest of the world to see, so we can grow this mission of watch global, support local, and build indie wrestling. So if you want to be a part of that and get some really cool rewards like call-in shows, bonus episodes, ad-free like I mentioned, then head over to patreon.com/theb+ and subscribe today.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event of the evening.
Hold one, Andre.
You're not good at this. Get out. Let me tell you a personal story about Vince McMahon.
You just made the list. Oh my God.
Sorry, no speak English.
Dummy. Goodbye and good night. Hold two, on bar.
It's still real to me, damn it.
Dummy.
This is the worst town I've ever been in.
Hold three, Tomas covers, three-handle family Gradunzel.
Mamma mia!
And now,
Unchained.media presents the B Plus Podcast with your host, Greg Unchained.
It's me, Austin. It was me all along, Austin.
number four, armbar.
I will never retire.
I still got 200 more. I got 200 more holes to list.
Good afternoon, B Plus players. Welcome to All the Rest here. I'm your man of mystery, Mr. Mysterious, and today, this is our Australia Day edition of All the Rest. For those of you guys who don't know, I am your main Facebook contributor, and I am the guy who you turn to for all the wrestling news that we don't get to fit into our scheduled programming. If you've been following the B Plus podcast, you notice that we've shaken things up a little bit. We have, of course, our Kings of Sport Universe podcast and our Aussie Graps, but we've actually now split our View from the WWE Universe into two teams. For Raw, SmackDown, and 205 Live, we've actually got CJ and, of course, our newest recruit, Danders. They have listened to their episode. It was fantastic. And over for the NXT and NXT UK side of things, we've got Super Producer Greg and Big Boy Mikey talking about all the wrestling. Oh, no, not all the wrestling. That's my thing. We're talking about the NXT side for that. But today, guys, you are listening to me. A little bit of housekeeping before I get into all the wrestling news. I like to talk about all the birthdays. We got several for Australia Day. Of course, these are all over in America, but I'll give a shout out to the late Road Warrior Hawk, who would have turned 62. Big happy birthday to him. Evil from Evil and Sonata turns 32 today. Taylor Wilde, one of the inaugural Impact Women's Tag Team Champions, which is now defunct, but I feel like worth a mention with WWE on the verge of crowning their first tag team champions over there. And the boss, Sasha Banks, turns 27. I thought that she was older. When you hear certain stars who've, especially because Sasha's been in WWE for a long time, the success of certain people when they are really young, sometimes the envy kind of just gets out in you. With, who's it? If Velveteen Dream's only 24 years old, and MJ is only 22, just you hear that shit and just what am I doing? But with all that being said, guys, I'm going to talk about a little bit of MLW news, a little bit of AEW, NWA, and of course all the other hot off the press news. And no better place to start than with MLW episode 40, which was heralded the main event by Heart Foundation going up against the Dirty Blondes. Now, this basically was all the spare bits and pieces from the Miami event that we crammed into an episode just before big Super Fight event, which is coming February 2nd. It makes it sound like I'm being negative, but I'm actually not. It's just, it's a little sour note for me because we open with Shane Strickland versus Rush. And it's just, like we mentioned last week, that Ring of Honor has signed Rush to an exclusive deal when he was going to be this breakout star for MLW and have this match of the century against LA Park. And that kind of just went nowhere now. And of course, Shane Strickland is now a free agent. So we opened the show watching two guys who are no longer a part of the MLW roster anymore, putting on a hell of a show. And just like, I'm going to miss this. This just left a little bad taste in my mouth. Like, I'm not even going to go into the supposed politics of it. Like, but the match was pretty back and forth. Shane was commanded the beginning part of it. There was very few fan reactions. I was really surprised. I don't know whether they muted certain things at the Miami show there. But really what happened, so Rush took Swerve to the outside, threw some trash at him, got the crowd to kind of wake up for a little bit, which was awesome. He kicked Shane on the bridge of the nose and did his tranquilo pose in the middle of the ring. And just like, yeah, Rush won this one. And this was awesome. I really had a lot of fun here, like despite how really quiet the fans were. And we did have a nice little promo from Shane at the start of this before the usual opening credits for MLW. So it was a weird cold open to begin the show. And whether or not we'll see more episodes of featuring Shane Strickland or Rush remains to be seen. I doubt it. But it would be a welcome surprise after that. We had a couple promos, of course, recapping Selena De La Renta saying how shit she thinks Sami Callihan is for not being able to do his job. And now De La Renta wants Sami dead, which, yeah, they're really pegging Sami Callihan as a very inept with MLW, but I'll move on from that. We had a couple other matches, guys. Ace Romero going up against Ariel Dominguez. You had Barrington Hughes on commentary, another big boy. AC Baby, it was basically just the same thing. Ace Romero going up against Marco Stunt, but the difference is Marco Stunt, who is now still on the injured list, unfortunately. Marco Stunt's able, because he's such a lightweight, Mr. Fun Size is his moniker, he's able to reverse a lot of his opponent's momentum. Ariel Dominguez is more of your scrappy fighter. Like, he's got the Rocky tights on, I can do this all day, Captain America type thing. And he just got squashed by Ace Romero. As there wasn't really much going for this match, but it was setting up the fact that Barrington Hughes and AC Romero might want to have a little bit of a tussle in the future. Both, I think it's fair to say, both 400-pound men, like very big dudes. Yeah, I could see that being a bit of a spectacle match later on down the line. Like, of course, I think in terms of offense, I think AC Baby has a little bit more going for him than Barrington, but again, we'll see what happens there. You had Brian Pillman cutting a little promo on a rooftop playground, which I'll go with it, but he's just saying that he wants to wrestle Tommy again. Like, he successfully defeated him in the Singapore King match last week, and now he wants to take their next match to the stars, take it to the moon, take it to the backyard of New York City. So their next upcoming match is they both pick tag team partners to go up against each other. Who they'll get, I'm not too sure. I feel like Tommy's going to bring out Sullivan. I hope not. Like, I want to get some, like, obviously, I feel like Tommy will get like some sort of veteran to bring out. And obviously, I don't know if it's predictable whether Pillman, I do want him to pick someone besides someone from the Hart Foundation, maybe a new recruit. That would be interesting to see. You had Ricky Martinez, accompanied by the ever-lovely Selena De La Renta, going up against Gringo Loco. We're seeing a bit of a feud happening between Gringo Loco and Promociones Dorado. I am actually liking it. Of course, Gringo Loco went up against LA Park a couple weeks ago. Hell of a show. If you want to listen out for that one, check our previous episode where I talk with super producer Greg about that. Where really, Gringo, he has all this amazing offense, and Martinez is just able to shake off a lot of it. Really, we ended that with Ricky went for the gutbuster finisher, but couldn't quite get Gringo over his own head, and Loco almost like landed directly on Martinez's neck. And it's kind of like Ricky's finisher almost broke his own neck too, which is, I'm surprised that they are both okay. But yeah, Gringo Loco, surprisingly big dude, like, and he's able to pull off that lucha libre style. He's going to be a real juggernaut in MLW in the coming months, especially with all the injuries and signings and everything else. So Ricky Martinez got the victory here. I do want to see more of Gringo Loco. I feel like they'll probably eventually he'll face off against Hijo de LA Park. And I don't know, maybe they'll get low key in there eventually saying, like, okay, like, you're not getting the point. Let's bring out the professional and see how he feels about that. But yeah, that's a really good. I want to see that feud build as we keep going. And we ended, as I mentioned, main eventing the Dirty Blondes versus the Hart Foundation. Finally, a tag team match. I don't see them enough in MLW, and I don't see the Dirty Blondes enough in MLW. So it was good to see Davey Boy Smith back in MLW as well, because he's obviously now confirmed to be re-signed with them. So really, because this was around the Miami tapings, this was around about the time that Dynamite Kid passed away. So it felt like they really hammered home that this was in honor of Dynamite Kid, which understandable. Though, because the match, Davey Boy hit a superplex on Dirty Blondes. Like, I should mention, like, they're like 300-pound guys. Like, that's an impressive feat. And so it was a superplex into a pinfall, like shades of the Dynamite Kid for the win there. Pillman and Davey Boy, they do work well as a tag team. I wasn't sure how much the chemistry would be. Obviously, like, you have Teddy Hart and Davey Boy, they're your go-to guys. So I'm curious who exactly is going to be facing the Lucha Brothers for the tag titles. It won't matter if they do win, because they'll probably be contested under Freebird rules. Surprisingly, Teddy wasn't there. And this is the thing when you have early tapings, you add them at a later date, because at the Superfight event, that's when Teddy Hart was crowned the middleweight champion. And I feel like this has probably happened after it. Like, this tag match happened after it. So he didn't accompany his comrades, his family, his familia to the ring, which kind of sucks. And again, the ring gear as well. Like, I like a bit of consistency in my wrestling, and even if you're going to have earlier tapings happen at a later date, like, just have a bit more consistency, guys. The Colonel keeps insisting, like, to the Dirty Blondes each and every time, just win this match or you're going to regret it. Like, win this match or I'm going to disown you and all this shit. And he never does anything. Like, we haven't seen the Dirty Blondes from, like, weeks and weeks and weeks. Like, they're just the job squad now in the tag division, it seems like. But have them do something. Like, please. Like, at the very least, like, they could separate the Dirty Blondes. Like, at least give them... I want to see more. Obviously, you don't want to separate them, because the tag division is very scarce there. But I don't know. I want the Colonel to kind of just make good on his threats. Because Robert Parker, yeah, you're all talk at this point. But yeah, that was really all we saw for episode 40. Just like I said, pretty standard fare. All the basic stuff from the leftover bits of the Miami show, which of course was a great showing for MLW. As we lead into Super Fight, episode 41 is going to appear next week, guys. Kota Brazil is going to return, and it's going to be main evented by Sami Callihan going up against LA Park. I'm curious whether they'll peg they'll try and swap Sami Callihan to like a face. I hope not. He works best as a heel, but he'll be a bit more despicable, a bit more unapproachable if he's not able to put away LA Park and they kind of set up a feud there. So, yeah, that was an alright episode of MLW, guys. We have the next episode of Being the Elite. Episode 135, Full Gear. And, of course, I should mention now, we've got a new episode of AEW content, Double or Nothing, The Road to Double or Nothing. It was on Cody and Brandy's Facebook page, their YouTube channel, The Nightmare Family. So we have 2 consecutive AEW shows going on at the same time. But don't worry, Mr. Mysterious has got your back. I'm going to keep you guys informed on all the stuff there. So really, we followed how the Elite appeared at the bar wrestling event. And that was how we ended. I shouldn't really jump forward there, but we started out with Cody, the Young Bucks, and Hangman Page talking uh, outside of a restaurant or somewhere or other, and Hangman's in his full ring gear, and everyone's just like, "What the hell are you doing, man?" And he's saying like, "Well, Park did it, you know, like Park appeared at the rally with his full ring gear," and he's like, "Yeah, but he's like freaking shredded, guys. Come on." He's saying like, "Have some dignity, man," and they just kind of focused on Hangman Page getting changed. It's just like, eh. It was a fun show, absolutely. We had Joey Janela trying some magic, which, yeah, last week he tried to throw a football or like or whatever you call it, like Aussie rules over here. I'm not going to get into that discussion, especially on Australia Day long weekend, guys. But yeah, unsuccessful at magic, unsuccessful at footy. What else is there for Joey Janela? We're going to make this a continuing thing, I'm sure. We had another segment with MJF. This time it was Kazarian talking to Cody about, oh, what places should AEW go to, and everything that Cody mentions. Kazarian's just like, it's the worst town I've ever been in, blah, 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 of course. And then he introduces uh, MJF. It's like saying nicer than Jerry Lynn, which is. And of course, once Cody leaves the room, Kazarian's like, listen here, you little prick. Like, ah. And he just like throws a cigar on the corner. Of course, the moment Cody comes back in the room, he's just like all smiles again. And then Kazarian, like the moment they leave, just like, what an asshole. I love him. There was an interview that I saw, I believe MJF was on Not Sam's wrestling podcast, where he actually just flat out said like how much he respects Cody Rhodes, and if they ever have a match together, it'll be a clean match, like clean cut match. He just wants to see who the winner will be. So it kind of really shows, especially in the build up to AEW Double or Nothing, if they actually have they go up against each other, which we now know because the ticket announcement party for AEW Double or Nothing is February 7th. So for that one, Cody has not had a opponent announced yet, but when they announced that the announcement for the announcement on their Nightmare Family YouTube channel, they confirmed, we mentioned this last week briefly, that the Jungle Boy has now officially been confirmed to be a part of the All Elite Wrestling roster, which congratulations to him. He's still a relative newcomer. He's only been doing it for about, doing the graps for about 3-4 years now. But again, so is like guys like MJF, and look how successful they are, because obviously experience shouldn't mean as much if you are that talented. So we had that going on, and yeah, we ended being the Elites with the full appearance of all the Elite at the bar wrestling event. So we had Hangman Page. We had a nice little moment with Joey Ryan and Hangman Page kind of hugging it out before they get attacked, and then the next lot of Elite come out, which was Cody and Brandy. And then they get attacked, and then the next lot of Elite came out, which was the Young Bucks, and like it was a nice little setup, and I can't imagine what it was like watching that live. It would have been awesome. And we ended that showing with Cody saying he would sign everyone in the bar wrestling event to AEW. And then Brandy's like, what the hell are you doing? Like, and she fired them all immediately. So for that brief moment, guys, there was the AEW roster had hundreds of people attached to it. Some maybe it might have been in an athletic shape, but who knows? And we'll add on to that as well. There was a little bit of a segment between Cody and the Young Bucks talking to Peter Avalon, saying like, "Oh, Cody's going to offer Peter Avalon $1 million for a contract with All Elite Wrestling," and he didn't consult the Young Bucks, and like did the dealings, and then the Young Bucks came around like, "Oh, like what are you doing?" Like, "Oh, not much. I just signed this guy for $1 million." Like, what is wrong with you? And they had to call back Peter and say like, yeah, we've come to the decision that we need to part ways. So Peter Avalon was kind of employed for about 2 minutes, and then just like, do you guys know what the hell you're doing? And they just kind of look around, just like, So obviously these guys are very, very smart people, but we kind of play into the fact that who knows what's going to happen with these guys? Like, obviously, they're keeping their cards very close to the chest. But that was really what happened with being the elite there. And of course, we had SCU. I should mention, Christopher Daniels broke a tooth at the bar wrestling event, and they just like he casually, without any fuss, like pockets it, shows to the camera saying like this shit's real. And like, I really like that. Like, just obviously, like the guys are doing it for over 25 years. So like just a broken tooth is not a big deal to him. So I respect that a lot. Very exciting stuff for all the rest. Very exciting stuff for being the elite, and now for the road to Double or Nothing, the first ever episode of Double or Nothing, guys. So of course we will keep you up to date on that. Never fret. Over into NWA news, yes again, no 10 pounds of gold, which like Billy Corgan, man, seriously, I love talking 10 pounds of gold. Like, why no news, man? Like, I love you guys. Like, someone please message Billy Corgan and just say, like, come on. Like, obviously, I feel like the next 10 pounds of gold will probably feature on Tim Storm, whether he accepts Nick Aldis' challenge, which we did do a poll on Facebook. About 65% of you said he should take the deal for that one, which I do want him to take the deal as well, let's be fair. But instead, we did actually have a couple uploads from NWA. Nick Aldis defended his world championship against Bad Dude Tito at Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. It was a match that went for about 15 minutes. Pretty good showing from Bad Dude Tito. Of course, like Nick Aldis retained, but all in all, it was a great match. And they opened and closed the video saying, of course, the Crockett Cup, that is going to be the next big event, I feel, in the next few months for that. And of course, Nick Aldis appeared on a Good Morning type show and just talked about his exercise routine and how getting the Superman body. I forget the name of his book, but that was really all they uploaded. It was just a nice little Good Morning America for Nick Aldis saying how you too can get his physique. And he just had a match against one of the NWA roster, which, yeah, like I said, please, more 10 pounds of gold. Like, I love the history behind all the episodes that we get here. So before we get into all the wrestling news, guys, let's cut over to super producer Greg with all of our sponsors.
Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
Christmas has come and gone, and with it, the disappointment of those Secret Santa staples, the shave kit, the sports hygiene packs, and seasonal socks is fading. As we roll on, though, into the new year, it's time to make resolutions, so why not resolve to look better in 2019 and get yourself the gift that keeps on giving and never disappoints, Threadbox. Threadbox is a subscription clothes shopping service which for as little as $40 per month will send you a box of personally curated goodies straight to your doorstep. I get the $160 package, which comes with over $200 worth of fresh goodies each month. Kept me looking fly for all my Christmas engagements this year. You get to communicate with the Threadbox stylist assigned to you by email regarding what it is you need, and they will tailor the box accordingly. And in the unlikely event that you don't like what they send you, you send it back, they will replace it with something new and make note of the things you don't like so that they can avoid that kind of thing in the future. Threadbox is a truly unbelievable service that no man should be living without, so head over to threadbox.com.au today and use our code TheB+15 when you check out to get 15% off your first box. January is here and we are fast approaching WrestleMania season. Royal Rumble and the road to WrestleMania are around the corner, so the time to dilly-dally is past us. If you want to experience WrestleMania live, and who doesn't, let's be honest, you deserve it. The best and really the only way to do it is with All Aussie Travelers. All Aussie Travelers are new to the wrestling travel package game, but they are veterans at travel, and they have put together a package that cannot be beaten. For less than $7,500, All Aussie Travelers are going to send you to New York, New York, with return flights, airport transfers, full accommodation, and tickets to the WWE Hall of Fame, NXT pre-show party, NXT TakeOver, WrestleMania, Monday Night Raw, SmackDown Live, and more. The coolest part about these packages is that for NXT TakeOver, Raw, and SmackDown, you are going to be seated in your own private VIP suite, normally not available to the public, but all Aussie Travellers have you covered, man. They got this locked down. It has its own bar, it has its own bathroom access, and all the luxuries that a VIP box comes with, not least of which, of course, an incredible view for everything happening in the ring. All of this for under $7,500. They're practically giving these packages away, man. You'd be crazy not to check it out. So head over to All Aussie Travellers on Facebook. The link is in the show notes. And tell them that the B Plus sent you. And let's go watch WrestleMania in style.
And we're back, guys. And we have a lot of WWE news and other news from all around the world to talk about today. A little bit of housekeeping with the second half here. Add a little bit of additions to the injury list. We mentioned last week that Chris Sabin and Flip Gordon were on the injury list for knee injuries. We've got a little bit more information about that, where Chris Sabin, former TNA World Heavyweight Champion, Motor City Machine Guns, he tore his ACL, a complete ACL tear, which is his third of his career, and it means he's going to be out of action for at least 8 to 12 months, which he's, like I said, he's done that before back in 2011, which put him on the bench for 10 months. And shortly after the next year, when he tore the same ACL, it was taken out for another 11 months, which, goddamn, man, like one tear is enough, but three, if he comes back, he's going to have to completely reinvent himself yet again, which I respect the hell out of him for that. All the best to him, especially with Ring of Honor kind of ramping up again. He's going to miss out on a lot, but hopefully he can come back even stronger than ever and just show everyone that he's still a force to be reckoned with. And with Flip Gordon, MRI revealed that he suffered a full MCL tear in his right knee during a match. But the good news is that he should be recovered in time for the G1 Supercard show on April 6th. So not as bad as we first thought. So happy for him, Flip. I feel like he's going to be like the face of Ring of Honor in the next few months. Of course, listen to our Kings of Sport Universe podcast for more of our general thoughts on that. And another man, you can't see him, but he is injured. John Cena, Big Match John. It seems like he will possibly miss out on the Royal Rumble this Sunday because he tore up his knee in last week's Raw Fatal 4-Way with Finn Balor, Baron Corbin. So, and I think just training kind of further aggravated his knee. So, this is WWE exclusive. This is not conjecture. This is WWE reported officially on their website that John Cena has suffered a knee injury. So, that's a bit unfortunate there. Of course, we want to see Big Match John in the next coming months. Part of me is because WWE themselves reported it, part of me is they're probably, I don't know what the right word is, but with the saying that they're trying to do another Superman Cena recovers from injury in record-breaking time and completely decimates the rest of the locker room. So if this leads to surprise entry, John Cena is part of the Royal Rumble, and hey, John Cena won the Royal Rumble, I don't know if I'll be happy with that. Of course, John Cena could face off against either Daniel Bryan or Brock Lesnar, depending on if they retain their titles at Royal Rumble. There's history to work with there. But yeah, I'm a bit hesitant to say that John Cena is injured when he has proved time and time again that he is wrestling Superman. There's no other way to describe it. More knee injuries. God damn it. I mentioned this last week and I'll say it again. 2019 looks like it's going to be the year of the knee injuries. Calm of the Authors of Pain. We don't know exactly the extent of his injury, but they believe it's a knee injury there. And he looks to be out for a couple months, and they're not going to split up the Authors of Pain anytime soon. So we'll probably have a break from them, which, considering all the way they lost the tag titles and their run with Drake Maverick and the whole urine peeing pants situation, the further we move away from that, the better. And by all means, when the Authors of Pain are 100% back to normal, come back, be Monster Tag Team, please. They were in NXT, they deserve to be on Raw or SmackDown, wherever they end up again when they're fully recovered. So yeah, that's the injury list, guys. We've got a couple returns, potentially. the broken one / the woken one, depending on where you like him from, Matt Hardy. In his Broken Brilliance, he spoke to a fan on Twitter about whether he was retired, and he said, "No, I'm not retired. I've actually been greenlit for a return. When that return happens, I don't know, but it'll be quite fairly soon, which maybe we'll see him duck in at the Royal Rumble. That would be nice." And more to the point, he said that he just needed to take some time off from his injuries, which I should reinforce. Like he's been doing this for a long time, and his pelvis kind of fused together with his back. I think that was how they described it, which that's pretty painful. Like that's you don't just rest up for that. You need a lot of time to rehab and recover from shit like that. So yeah, we might see the Broken Brilliance appear once more, which I would love to see Matt Hardy. How he will appear, whether he will appear on Raw or SmackDown, and we'll see like one final Hardy Boys reunion. I don't know. I'll leave that to you guys. Let us know in the comments what you think. And of course, another return, Triple H. He's actually said that he, in a recent interview, that he got cleared last week, and now he's just working on his intensity workout so that he can be in fighting shape for WrestleMania. So anyone knows that a serious injury between rehabbing a couple hours a day and actually training, the difference is getting better versus actually bettering yourself. So I feel like they still want the Triple H Batista match at WrestleMania. Whether that happens, I don't know. We could see, I don't know who else Triple H could face off against, because it seems like WWE are kind of transitioning from Undertaker's annual streak to Triple H's, which, as I mentioned, that it looks at the moment, as reported by Dave Meltzer, that the Undertaker does not have a scheduled match at this year's WrestleMania. Of course, we're still a couple months away. Plans can change, but if true, this would be like Undertaker's only missed 3 WrestleManias in his 28, nearly 30-year career. Like back in 2000, he had a pec injury, and I think back in 94 he had a back injury as well. But it was only because, through no fault of his own, he was injured and he could not compete. But yeah, I would be okay with him having a break from the WrestleManias. I mean, like, it feels like the streak is dead and buried, and I wouldn't want to see like I just want him to end on a high note. I just want him to finish his career positively. Like we could have finished with Roman Reigns, and I would have I hated it when it happened, but we could have finished then, and now we haven't. We could have finished with Cena. We haven't. We could have finished with Brock Lesnar way back when. We didn't. Could have finished with Shane McMahon. We didn't. Like, it feels like, okay, like let's just give Undertaker a graceful ride off into the sunset. May he rest in peace. Let us know, guys, what you think about that. I'm glad that he might just need a bit of time off from doing the WrestleManias, and who knows, maybe 2020, like a nice little cap, like 30-year career. Then he has his final match, if that's the way they're going to go for it. I feel like, of course, WrestleMania, he'd have to end his career at WrestleMania, whether it's this one or the next. We just want, like, Undertaker, we just want you to be okay, man. Moving on to all the other news of the week. A lot of WWE news, surprisingly. One of the big ones I'll talk about is Ronda Rousey is being rumored to leave WWE after WrestleMania. It was reported by Dave Meltzer that she may be interested in starting a family, which, of course, she would need to take time off for that, and which would mean that her last match after Royal Rumble, of course, is this year's WrestleMania. And if that were true, then because we've been building up to potentially Becky Lynch versus Ronda Rousey, whether they add Charlotte in there, of course, remains to be seen. But yeah, that would mean that Ronda would have her last match at WrestleMania. Then after that, yeah, she'd have a bit of time off to do whatever she needs to do. And look, like, this has kind of been blown out of proportion a little bit. Like, it's come out, like, Ronda Rousey has actually commented on this, saying that her actual contract ends April 10th, 2021. And whether she wants to start a family is a private matter, which, of course, like, no one should, like, I believe the quote was just like, no one should be talking about my uterus, like, my vagina, my life. Like, of course, like, it feels, and I should mention the hypocrisy in all this, because when Brie Bella stepped away to have a family with Daniel Bryan, everyone was like, and like, we don't like, well, I say we, the majority of the WWE universe does not like the Bellas. And they're just like, okay, cool, happy for you guys, right? And like, people hate Brie Bella. But we've got now Ronda Rousey, who everyone loves, more or less, and the potential of her leaving it, just like, oh, you suck, and just like, how could you do this to the fans? Da da da. Like, you know why? Because we're all fickle, fickle. I'm gonna talk about Daniel Bryan later, but man, like, can we just like, there is a lot of double standards being a wrestling fan, especially a WWE fan. Now look, whether like, because whether it's true that Ronda Rousey is leaving WrestleMania, and of course, like, it could be that yes, her contract goes till 2021, but her last match could be at this year's WrestleMania. She could still be under contract, still have a little bit of time off, and then come back for a couple of scheduled appearances. And of course, if she stays away from wrestling longer than 2021, they could just extend the contract. Like, there's no fuss about that. Which, like, and again, one of the things I think is more, someone mentioned this, and I do think it's valid, that it's not so much that they are focusing on the fact that she's going to have a family. It's that if she doesn't drop the women's title and that is her last match, then yeah, they're kind of leaving the women's division kind of. They don't want another Brock Lesnar, is what I'm trying to get at. But I don't feel like that's what they're going to do. But ultimately, yeah, happy for Ronda Rousey. Whatever happens after WrestleMania and leading up to it, of course. Like, please, let's see the man face Ronda Rousey. Is that too much to ask, guys? If this is true, like, my God, Ronda Rousey has had the best debut year of any WWE, especially any WWE female star. But I feel like any WWE star for the last decade, I'm gonna call that. She's had the best run that anyone could ever hope for. More WWE news, guys. Some stars who are rumored to be heading to WWE as part of the creative team. Two signings from Impact. Hardcore legend Abyss and Sanjay Dutt, who was a former X Division champion. Like, these two guys are potentially heading to WWE. They're a part of course, the Impact creative team. Abyss was the longest tenured TNA performer, like, been there since day one. And he was recently celebrated as being the Impact Hall of Fame, which well deserved, man. We all love you, Abyss. And yeah, they reckon that they could be pushed into a creative aspect in WWE. Their roles in Impact have been replaced by Conan and Tommy Dreamer, which, like, two other legendary figures in wrestling. So the stars will still have some great wise teachers to guide them through Impact over there, so that's okay. But yeah, Abyss and Sanjay Dutt potentially in WWE. The Royal Rumble's coming up, guys. We could maybe see Abyss and Kane in the same ring. It would have been 10 years too late, but it could happen. Like, I want that to happen, please, guys. Like, imagine, like, everyone would know who Abyss is, whether he appears in his mask or he just comes out as him. But everyone would know what this confrontation means. You could just have Kane and Abyss size each other up. The monsters just fight the crap out of each other. I can see it. I'd love it. Like, we're in speculation mode this Aussie weekend, and of course, this weekend to Royal Rumble. Like, please, let's see how we go with this. We have a couple more news. Like, apparently Dave Meltzer, like, I'm going through all the Wrestling Observer rumors, but the main one that caught my eye was that Dave Meltzer is now giving a lot of talent pushes that may not have previously been given any, in the hopes to keep them away from All Elite Wrestling and other companies as well. If they feel they are dissatisfied with their time in WWE, which we talked about last week, how WWE are apparently doubling offers, any offers that some other companies have potentially given their stars, and if they can confirm it in writing, they will give them the money. So again, like just another story of WWE just on the back foot, which is really interesting to me. They're not in the position of power that they once were, especially last year before that. Whether like with the pushes, you notice that the Revival, they're still continuing their story, but they've had a couple tag team title matches in the past few weeks. Sasha Banks let out a recently interesting tweet when the Revival said stuff just like, "Can I come with you guys wherever you guys go?" She's got her match against Ronda Rousey coming up this Sunday, and you had Andrade, who has been rumored to be a bit dissatisfied with his time and might have shooed away guys like Rush from WWE allegedly. He's been having some amazing matches with Rey Mysterio, like 5-star quality matches. Like, I hope to see more from Andrade and Rey. That could be a really fantastic feud going forward, and that would really highlight the fact that Andrade is just a really great performer. Please give him the time of day, otherwise he will move, he will leave, and he will do far better because he definitely can. And it comes to like what WWE really cares about, because even like former Hall of Famers, even Hall of Famers like Edge have been questioning Vince McMahon's commitment to certain things. Like Edge spoke on his podcast how committed Vince McMahon is to the tag team division, which, if you look at Raw's, doesn't look like he really is. Like, SmackDown is doing great. NXT's is fine. Like, of course, NXT is like the gold standard in terms of talent and looking after the stars. But yeah, when it comes to when your Hall of Famers are actually starting to question your commitment to things, and and he actually mentioned like this might not see the money in tag team wrestling, which there definitely is. Edge and Christian prove that. The Dudleys prove that. Like, I don't know why this is even a debate. Like, of course, that every championship should mean something. Like, we've got this week, we have the United States Championship is relegated to the pre-show, like with Rusev and Nakamura. Like, you should, if you don't treat your championships with respect, why should everyone else? So that's my little rant on that. So we'll see where WWE's head is at in the coming weeks. They've got other things to focus on. Like their Worlds Collide tournament, which is going to be 15 stars from NXT, NXT UK, and 205 Live. Of course, NXT will be represented by Adam Cole, Keith Lee, Shane Thorne, Dominique Jajkovic, and the Velveteen Dream. Over on the UK side, we've got Tyler Bate, Travis Banks, Mark Andrews, Jordan Devlin, and the NXT UK Tag Team Champion, Zach Gibson. And on 205 Live side, you've got Cedric Alexander, Humberto Carrillo, Drew Gulak, Tony Nese, and TJP. This is going to be streaming on February 2nd, guys. It's a never before seen brand versus brand dream match for the very first time. So what I'm sure the guys will be talking more about this in the next coming weeks, where essentially it's going to be a 15 superstar battle royal that will determine the brackets for the tournament, and then the tournament will happen. And this is interesting wording, and I should point out 15 stars. I get like you want even 5-5-5, but 16 would be better for a tournament. So I feel like they're going to try and push someone else in there just for emphasis. And the winner of the championship match, the winner of the tournament will receive a future NXT, NXT UK, or 205 Live championship match of their choosing. Anyone can become a champion on any brand. Now, think about that for a second. So that doesn't necessarily mean that someone in NXT if they won, would face off against the NXT champion. They could go to NXT UK and fight. Like that's the wording. Like, I could be wrong, but the way the wording sounds, it means that they could face off against another champion from another brand. And of course, if someone were to contest for the 205 Live Cruiserweight Championship, they would need to maybe cut off some weight if they were eligible. Or hell, like if someone from 205 Live, like they could not necessarily compete against Buddy Murphy, they could go over to NXT or NXT UK and just hell yeah, like a bit more, like bleed the brands together, like that aren't Raw and SmackDown, and make them feel like a united front. I really want to see that, guys. Like WWE have got a lot of their hands full with that one. I'm really looking forward to Worlds Collide. I've got a couple more bits of WWE news. We have Velveteen Dream has locked his Twitter account. The Dream let off a tweet recently saying that he knows his worth, and until we can come to an agreement as to what my worth actually is, there won't be any appearances or performances from me or my likeness. Thank you. Interesting because, as I mentioned, he's part of the Worlds Collide tournament. I don't know. They could work that into something. I feel like he might be. I don't feel this is legit. I feel like he's taking the piss out of how disgruntled certain fans are, and like the fact that he seems loyal to the WWE brand, the NXT brand, that he's kind of worked into a storyline. So Velveteen, of course, you would be a valued asset anywhere you go. I remember an interview where he said that I don't believe in fans because fan is abbreviation of fanatic. So I am not a fanatic. I'm a supporter of the Dream in that one. So that's what it looks like here with Velveteen Dream. So let's go on to the other wrestling news around the world. I will talk about MLW. I'll go back to them. They've actually got some new sponsors lined up. So with all the news of their injuries and their stars being signed away and all these setbacks for MLW, it's good to talk about the positivity in Major League Wrestling. They have got 2 deals out, which the first one is Anani Communications, which will be bringing MLW Fusion to Ego Total in Israel. So their platform is growing ever higher, which might not sound like much to people here in Australia, but it just really hammers home just the value that MLW has and the reach that it can potentially have, like overcoming other longer lasting promotions like Impact, like Ring of Honor. And the second is a familiar name to people, especially if you're a WWE fan, GoDaddy. GoDaddy, of course, if you remember back in the mid 2000s, Candice Michelle was a spokesperson, ambassador for GoDaddy. She had a couple of ads with them during her time. I think this is around about the time that she was also the women's champion. So yeah, GoDaddy are not unfamiliar to the wrestling scene, and they have now decided to invest their time with MLW, which, like, let's talk about that. Like, so there's talk about like the real war going on here between MLW, Impact, Ring of Honor, because Impact streaming numbers they're like, you can view them online, and they're getting like less than 10,000 viewers each week. MLW with their streaming numbers are getting like 4 times that, right? And not to mention, like, they have the beIN Sports deal, which is a way bigger deal than Pursuit, right? So realistically, for talent with MLW, like GoDaddy, they invest a lot of money into like the Super Bowl. Every year they drop about $3 to $5 million on the Super Bowl every year, and for GoDaddy to sign with MLW, like, that's a great partner to have, right? So I am looking forward to that, especially like GoDaddy with MLW is a better home for them than Impact with Conda.com, and of course their Twitch channel, which, let's be honest, no one's watching, but that's just my opinion. A couple other bits and pieces around the world, guys. We have all, of course, the rumors. Again, I should have mentioned this with Being the Elite. No word on Kenny Omega. They talked about how he did appear on Being the Elite, saying like, "Oh, I lost my phone. I hope that will surface somewhere or other." He actually talked about he he talked about the award ceremony in Japan, saying that he's had a lot of memories in Japan, and he's just looking forward to the future. But yeah, according to an interview after that, he's saying that after he leaves New Japan, when his contract ends at the end of January, he will be performing on a large international platform. Now, of course, that leaves maybe WWE or AEW. We actually left a poll on the B Plus Facebook page. Dead tie, 50-50 where he should go, which, yeah, that's pretty conclusive, guys. Good job. Apparently, as well, like, it seems like it's either AEW or WWE for Omega, but according to Chris Jericho, at one stage, Omega was potentially going to be signed to Impact Wrestling, which that just floored me. Where apparently it looks like Omega was going to be still allowed to compete with New Japan, but he was also going to be doing about 30 dates with TNA, which I can see that being a good thing. That would have I would have worked out. Like, it seemed like before AEW came out with their deal and everything else, it looked like they were going to sign Chris Jericho at one stage as well, where again, like, he was going to be working with both New Japan and Impact. So they looked like they had a great deal of input on their creative side of things, and like, they were, of course, like, friends with, like, Don Callis is friends with Chris Jericho. So it's kind of expected that he will go. I should say, it's expected that Omega will be a part of AEW, but we can't presume anything just yet. We will see. I can't imagine how Omega would have done in the Impact world. Like, naturally, he would have been in the heavyweight picture against Johnny Impact, but after that, I don't know what else they would have done with him. Like, Impact doesn't have many heavyweight contenders at the moment. And I'd be curious to see how much they kind of blended everything together if he were to have gone with Impact instead. I don't know. I feel like he made the right decision. Wherever he lands in the next coming weeks, I feel like he made the right decision there. We've got a couple little bits of news here, guys. Cody has spoken out about some more AEW news, where he said that he wants to have a union for the wrestlers, but the fact that if you have a union for the wrestlers, that means that the pro wrestling business is no more. So what people don't realize, like, he said, he does actually want some sort of body to look after the wrestlers, and to make a better world for wrestling fans, he needs to look after the wrestlers, which, like, we mentioned this last week. He's saying all the right things. This doesn't feel like lip service to me. It seems like he legitimately wants to make a positive impact and make AEW truly unique. So, like, we're saying, like, whether that starts as like a talent feedback system, a players league, some sort of body that's completely transparent communication between the office and the locker room. Either way, his heart's in the right place. Like, in terms of course, like, these guys are independent contractors, and the AEW guys want to allow the stars to perform in other promotions as well. They're not exclusive contracts, so they have to be independent contractors. So I don't know. Again, you got to take all this AEW news with a grain of salt. Of course, like, all these guys are putting their names out there. Like, you had Darren Young speak on in a recent interview. He said whether it's New Japan or AEW, Ring of Honor, like, he wants to put his name out there. He wants to wrestle more. Which, like, of course, like, guys like Tommy Dreamer said, like, oh yeah, if you guys are interested, I would be happy to be a part of it. Like, just gonna reach out to me. Like, of course, like, all this is just, this won't mean anything. Of course, these guys want jobs. That's all it boils down to. These guys want jobs. Who doesn't want a job? Right? I will end on a couple of nice little notes, guys, here. So we have Roman Reigns is a name that we haven't spoken about in the last few weeks. He is appearing in the Fast and Furious spin-off movie, Hobbs and Shaw, with his cousin, Dwayne Johnson, The Rock. You guys might have heard of him. It sounds like he's doing well for himself. Like, it's really nice to hear, like, just a bit of positive news about Roman Reigns, especially with everything that's happened. So I don't know whether he did this before he retired, and or maybe he's had to do some reshoots. But it looks like he's still recording stuff for Hobbs and Shaw. So, but again, so in Hobbs and Shaw, like of course, Rock plays Hobbs, and his brother is going to be played by his cousin Roman Reigns, which that's really sweet, and it will give something. It'll give Roman a nice chance to do something different and kind of diversify him as an actor, which I think he's only done like a couple of WWE movies, WWE cartoon movies, I should say. I don't think he's ever done one of the live action things like The Marine, but that's neither here nor there, guys. And we've also got WWE announced a new reality series to find, quote, the next great female competitor. So I think I mentioned this a few All the Rest ago, but WWE is teaming up with Barnum Murray Productions, which is the company behind Total Bellas, Total Divas, and Keeping Up with the Kardashians, which like they've specifically mentioned that, which is interesting, to find the next female superstar who has what it takes to go toe to toe with the likes of Ronda Rousey, Sasha Banks, and Becky Lynch. I'm a bit hesitant on this because this feels like the Diva Search all over again, and we are in the women's revolution. I do not want the Diva Search at all. This could be a good thing, whether like the competitors, quote unquote, are actual athletes, like legitimate MMA athletes, like stars from other sporting events, right? They could get stars from the performance center, like use them as stars for the reality, like for this new reality TV series, if they want to do that. Like casting is underway for the forthcoming show that will document the search for the next great female competitor, which they need to do this right, especially like WWE are doing a lot of good things at the moment with like they've got the tag titles coming out soon, but they've taken some interesting turns in the past couple of weeks. Of course, we had Alexa Bliss and Mandy Rose with their I wouldn't call them wardrobe malfunctions because like let's be honest, they didn't really release much skin than they usually do, and it seems like WWE are trying to quote bring the sexy back, which they don't need to do. Like of course, sex sells. But yeah, I want the women's wrestling scene to be treated with respect, and as long as they do this right, I have no complaints. But I grew up with the Diva Search, guys, so I'm very, very nervous about what happens here. I want to end, guys, with a bit of news about food because I haven't had breakfast yet. I'm starving. Um, no, I want to end some news about Daniel Bryan, the planet's champion, and his little feud he's got going with Chase Field because this Sunday, for the Royal Rumble, Chase Field have created a Royal Rumble burger, which I'll try not to make you guys mouth water with this one. For this little monstrosity, they've got 18-ounce pork bratwurst patty on a toasted onion roll, added cheddar cheese, smoked bacon, crispy coleslaw, fried onions, barbecue aioli on the burger, then topped it off with a new fried mac and cheese wedges for good measure, because why not? Somewhere in the background, you hear Homer Simpson, "You're drooling on the mic again." But yeah, you look at the picture, check it up online. Like, I'm not kidding. Like, this Royal Rumble burger looks disgusting. It might taste great, but and naturally, because of this monstrosity, has sparked the outrage of the planet's champion, Daniel Bryan, who said that they're delivering this heart disease on a $13 platter, saying that they should be ashamed of themselves, like made from factory farm pigs, like cheese from cows whose babies ripped apart from them, add to the heart disease that people will eat. He's like, shame to you, shame. They had a bit of a Twitter feud, and he's saying that like Chasefield responded saying that we're just giving the people what they want, and he's saying an excuse every tyrant in history has ever made. Like, prove me wrong by giving all of your profits to a children's charity or some other charity because that is what the people want. And that's kind of shut them up, which the thing about Daniel Bryan, because I love Daniel Bryan as this new character, the new Daniel Bryan. Here's the thing, because he is 100% right, but he is obnoxious. And that's the problem. Like, he is saying all these things. He's the heel, mind you, apparently. He's saying all these things about how we're destroying the environment and how people are fickle, and he's not wrong, but it's just the way he's going about it that like makes him the bad guy, quote unquote, which it's fascinating how Daniel Bryan's been able to work this. Like, we'll play the audio later on of before I close with Daniel Bryan, like, and the Go Home SmackDown with AJ Styles. He actually called Vince McMahon a parasite. And he's saying that AJ Styles like, is unpredictable. He doesn't deserve to be in the same ring as him. Right? All these things. It's fantastic. And and of course, like, again, like, apparently, like, Daniel Bryan wants to find an alternative to the WWE Championship, a vegan alternative, so he's not wearing the fruits of leather all around his waist. Like, I want to see what he comes up with. If this is true, like, please, we can like have the vegan championship. Like, this will like forever go down as like the best thing that WWE have ever done with their heel characters. Like, please, vegan belts, more Daniel Bryan, and shame on the Royal Rumble burger. I will leave everything there, guys. Of course, thank you so much for tuning in. If you like what we do here, please leave us a comment. Please leave us a 5-star review. It really does make a difference because we love you guys, especially on this Australia Day weekend. Like, however you choose to celebrate it, like, just do you, guys. Do you. At the very least, you've got a long weekend just to sort your things out. If you want to follow me, I am at Mr. Mysterious with a 1 instead of an I on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, all the socials. Hit me up, guys. If you want to follow our super producer Greg, you have him at Greg Unchained on Twitter, at the Greg Unchained on Instagram, and for all of us here at the B Plus Wrestle, on Twitter we are at the B Plus Wrestle because wrestling wouldn't fit, and the B Plus Wrestling everywhere else. And of course, guys, I'll mention our Patreon. Please pledge whatever you can. We look forward to doing more stuff for you guys, and whatever you guys can like donate means the world to us, and we put it all back in. All of it goes back into the podcast to give you guys the best content you could hope for. Like, share, subscribe, hit that 5-star review. Let's hear a little bit from Vince McMahon and Daniel Bryan to end this, of course. And thank you guys so very much for listening. Happy Australia Day long weekend. I've been Mr. Mysterious. I'll see you later.
You know, my friend, the great Carl Sagan once said,
Hey, look, I'm tired of this. Get in the ring.
Vince, of course you don't want to listen to this because you and the entire baby boomer generation are the great parasites of this world. You see, these people bowed down to you when you came out, but they don't realize that you and your entire generation, you take, and you give nothing back, putting profits over both the people and the planet every single time. And they bow to you for it. They bow to you for it. It's like you pulled this incredible magic trick, this illusion. Well, you've concealed from them all the economic and environmental debt that you've created, and they've become satisfied with trading Instagram likes and Facebook messages and social media stuff. All while you're in the back hoarding all the wealth, hoarding all the power, and they ignore it because they're distracted. You've created an environment for somebody like AJ Styles to become a hero, where his brand of ignorance and impotence is the perfect...
Damn it, I'm not going to tell you again. Get in the ring.
Hold one.
arm drag.
You're not doing this. Get out. Let me tell you a personal story about Vince McMahon.
You just made the list.
So, no speak English.
Dummy.
Goodbye and good night.
Hold two. Arm bar.
This is the worst town I've ever been in.
It's still real to me, damn it. Dummy.
Hold three. The moss covered.